Alright guys, good morning. Welcome back to Beautiful Mind today. If you're new here, I'm Roland Attenborough. I'm the leading GANN scientific and analytical researcher. And thank you to everyone for having me as a guest today. Today we're going to be discussing what we can see moving forward. We've been waiting for the return of strength or the resumption of the bear market or the reaction in our bull market. We've been postulating over the last while that when the moon comes around and contacts Aries and Taurus, that we've had a series of tops, not always the highest top, but a series of tops. We've been talking that it's possible and likely that this third and fourth we would see a possible lower top, or we would maybe re-challenge this top and be rejected. So we're waiting to see the evidence of that happen. We had a crossing of our 245-degree angles from our last swing top at 71,000 and our last swing low at 55,000. We're vibrating within this. We're sitting on a 1 times 2 angle from our current low here at 67,000, just made a few days ago around the 30th. Or the 31st. Right now we're seeing the strength starting to reappear. This is a good sign. If we are rejected, then we will be moving back down again and sitting on this 1 times 2 angle. And a breaking of this 1 times 2 angle would bring us back down, and we would sit on a 1 times 2 angle here, before resting finally on one of our support angles coming back from early February. I went ahead and I put on the Fibonacci sequence so that we could see just what Bitcoin has done and what it may do given these levels. And I thought maybe we would just spend a minute and we would talk about this really quickly. So we took our Fibonacci channel and we placed it on our current and all-time low. From there we placed the top of the measuring tool at 69,000, our current high in 2001, November. From there we have all the Fibonacci sequence going down to 0. Now watching these, you can see that prices wished to come back and cycle to those areas each time. So looking at this, we can see that these price level lines capture the energy of the market. Now, with that in mind, looking at a bearish scenario, if we were to be further rejected, where would we be looking again? Well, therein we have this Fibonacci sequence here, which is this colored line here. Forget these red ones. This is the square of 9. We'll talk about those in a minute. So the energy of the market is wishing to stay within 2 frequencies of numerical values. The next one we can see, should we not break down and break below this 57 and return back to this 49, or the halfway point, which would be around approximately 53,000. And we've gone over these areas on the square of 9. So taking a look at all these, right, we've taken into consideration a bullish position for us could take us into, we were talking this July, where we would see possibly the onset of a high taking place. What would that look like? Well, let's just make this a little bigger so it'll be nicer for us to look at. So our next Fibonacci sequence, reaching up from where we are now, vibrating on this Fibonacci sequence. Our next major overhead support would indicate roughly around 100,000. We've been postulating that it's likely impossible that into this 15th of July we could be at 90,000. And that would square out our bottom at 55. And running up a 45-degree angle, that would concur with what we're talking about. Because 90 and 55 are on a 45-degree angle. Further to that, we've been discussing that we would have a significant pullback in the late part of July. And we could certainly do that and have a very big move down to 81. However, it's very possible that we have such a wide swing and a lot of volatility. I was talking to you about this, that we could sit back down and sit on this 77 here by the 26th or the 3rd and 4th week of July. But therein after, we would be moving up really fast, and it's possible that we could take our 38 low and we could be moving up and moving 2 turns or 4 squares in price and top out at 100,000 in August around the 14th, 15th, and 16th. Now this is just a postulation based on mathematical sequences. We would need to see the evidence of strength returning, and what I mean by strength is not a rejection pushing us lower. Sure, we could get a bounce up and a move down and sit on this. If that were to occur, this frequency would still be intact, and we would just take a 45-degree angle and we would run it off our bottom, wherever that would lie, on the 20th or the 3rd week of June or therein, as we know that June has cyclical bottoms within it. We've looked at that several times in the previous few years past that have occurred. So it is possible we could make it up to this area, and that wouldn't surprise me the least bit, given the fact that we've been vibrating around this area for quite a long time and not breaking 55 here. Doubling 50 or 55 would bring us to 110. We've been talking about this quite a bit, you guys, so let's just pay attention to that. And as you can see on the square here, 105 and 106, right, and 101, it squares out with our low at 38, right, squares our top at 67 here. We're talking about this, right? So it is likely. Now let's take a look at where this angle makes contact with this date of our low. What's it saying? It's saying 77,000. That's our next. This is our next move up, and I've put this red line on here. This signifies 77, and these are the points on the square. So let's take a look at that now. Taking a look at the fact that the square of 9, these numbers, they intercept our 45-degree channel here. Doesn't mean that we will have to be at this, but somewhere within this quadrant, or maybe a quadrant below, wherever we get another 45-degree angle, we might have to put it down right here, or maybe down out here, like I've been saying. Maybe we get this low in that third week and we put another 45-degree angle on that's equal and parallel to the distance between these two. Wouldn't surprise me the least bit. Just like this angle here is equal to the distance between these two. That doesn't surprise me the least bit either. So if we had another distance that was equal to this distance or this distance, that would be equal, and that wouldn't surprise me the least bit. And this is not quite, but it's a little over half probably the distance here, or very close therein. Continuing to see this move up again, we would need to see this break above without being turned away. Now, regaining this angle is a show of strength. A rejection from this angle shows a lot of weakness. So it is important that we carry on and maintain above this shallow angle, which is half of our 45-degree angle. I know it says 51, but right now it is, in fact, a 45. So staying above this 1 times 2 angle, which is a 22-degree angle, would indicate great strength. Right now we're doing that, so we're looking for this strength to return. We're not out of the forest yet, guys. Our next purchase is when we leap above and we sit on this and we don't show any weakness. That's the safest place to buy. And that's where you can really make a lot of money. Well, not money, but Bitcoin. So be prepared to wait this out a little bit, because this is the most successful asset. Everyone's got their eyes on Bitcoin and what it's doing. Pretty much everyone is starting to forget about all these other things, because there's nothing that is more successful. 1 Bitcoin is worth around 70,000. Like, that's right, we were so asleep when it came out. I was trading silver the time that it came out, and then I flipped to Bitcoin sometime thereafter. You know, I was still in a disillusionment, but, you know, it's very successful. It's been going for just over 12 years, and it's worth 70,000. So it's pretty successful. So I'm kind of rambling on this morning, but thank you for having me as a guest today. You guys, watch out for these levels. We could, in fact, move back and base again and have a sit down somewhere around this area. It's between 55 and 70 is very active for wide swings. We were anticipating the resumption of strength. However, crossing this 45-degree angle here, anything can happen. If we lose and become rejected by this top here, as we've done the last, and we've got a rejection here, here, a lower one here, and another one here. So there's a lot of energy here. So we break above this and sit on this. Our 12-year cycle for Jupiter is intact. Our forecast is intact, and we will be seeing some moves up. I don't expect $1 million. Come on, guys. However, 100,000, yeah, you bet. That's certainly that's a conservative look forward. Based upon the movements that we've seen and the energy and the vibration of the market, we could certainly postulate the idea that continuing on an angle of 45-degree angles would therein indicate a top pattern in this summer period before we base again back down, and somewhere in this year here, probably somewhere right after this election, and most likely we'll square out a day with our May Day low. Let's just say we go out 180 days, and that would state to us that we could see a low again around this date. Does it have to be at this area? Well, not necessarily, but you know, looking at this, could we sit back down and sit on 85, retest this area from our lows, right? This low, this angle comes between two big data points here, right? Our big low here, and it cuts right through our current swing low at 55. So we could in fact sit on this later on in the year, 180 days later. And we could certainly have a ton of volatility, like I was saying, in the end of the last week of this July. This would be 3 months or 90 days from this bottom, and we would certainly be seeing a lot of bearish pressure. So keep that in mind. I've been warning you about this stuff for several weeks and days moving ahead. We've been waiting for this strength to return, so with the resumption of this, we need to be mindful that we're not right out of the woods yet. Once we get over this top here and sit on this, yeah, then it's game on, and it's going to happen really fast. Once we get above this and sit on this, the energy will switch to fast forward, and we'll have a big jump up. Typically, it's a double move. We've been talking about this. So this area here is this is a ripe area for a target. We could certainly see anything happening here, but especially between this mid-July and this mid-August. Yeah, you bet we can easily see something happen. So easy. Alright guys, watch our levels. This is the levels that we have to watch out for moving forward. Utilize this measuring tool. It'll help you find these tops and bottoms. I have it tuned to Bitcoin. You can do this to any asset. If you'd like to find the numbers that vibrate with your asset, then hit me up. We have a sale going on here coming up on the 6th of June, where we will be celebrating William Gann's birthday, and I will be selling my stuff for 50% off, just to give you guys a little bit of birthday joy. Let's get some knowledge. I'll be opening the books those days too, so I won't be having a chart like this. We're going to open the books up, and we're going to take a look at some of the knowledge in there and read through it. It might be a little long because I'll be reading the stuff and showing you what the books are in fact indicating. So look for that. Could be a little long, but we're going to be celebrating William's birthday by diving into his amazing method of esoteric and mathematical probabilities. Alright guys, thank you very much for having me as a guest today. Peace and love to you.